Hey,
How you doing?
everybody. Welcome to the Green Room YXE. We're coming to you from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and we're just really excited to be here. I'm Leslie,
I'm Johnny.
and this is our first show. How are you feeling?
Well, jeez, I don't know. I'm so self-conscious. Ah,
I know it's
it's
crazy. It's
yeah,
awesome. So, do you want to just tell everybody a little bit about how this came
yeah.
to
This.
be? Or
Hey, hi, Robbie. Good evening.
hey,
Uh,
Robbie.
it came to be because we were just sitting around the house, you know,
Who isn't sitting around the house these
and
days?
friends of ours, Ian and Deborah, contacted us and said they were starting a online TV channel, and would we like to have an entertainment spot? And we thought, yeah, and it was
Sure.
like literally like that. Now here we are, first show. It's kind of like a live podcast with guests, and these guys behind us, Deborah and Ian, are Melius Terra, and they have experience with this sort of thing. So,
Thank goodness.
they're making this whole
'Cause we
thing.
don't.
We're just supposed to be here and talk to people, and they make it all like work. So
They make it all
yeah.
happen. So what's coming up on the show
Oh, yeah.
today
Right.
or this evening, we have a couple of awesome guests, Jay Semko and Chris Henderson. And we're thrilled to have them here with us tonight. But first, we're going to just talk a little bit about what's happening in music today, like what's happening in the world today.
In the
music.
world?
Well, let's just start with Saskatchewan.
All right, so Saskatchewan.
What's happening in Saskatchewan?
Well, thank goodness for Sask Music, because on Sunday they had the Saskatchewan Music Awards.
Yeah.
And, it's old news for some of you people, but some of you people may not know. But and those that are tuning in from outside of Saskatoon or outside of the country, you'll get to know a little bit about what happens in Saskatchewan musically here. So the Sask Music had this Saskatchewan Music Awards. And I gotta say, it's almost a clean sweep for Saskatoon. So
Yeah, it was like, whoa.
this is Green Room YXE, so Saskatoon, way to go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talented musicians in this city, a lot of great bands. Anyhow, but the big winner was Tennille Arts. She's not from Saskatoon.
Okay.
She's from Weyburn, but she's from Saskatchewan.
from
which is
Saskatchewan,
still awesome.
so-
Even if she's Canadian or wherever she's from, it's awesome. She won 3 awards:
Yeah.
Album of the Year, Single of the Year, and Country Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then then look, it's a veritable who's who of Saskatoon bands. Yeah, like Close Talker, Alternative Artist of the Year,
Very cool.
Electronic Artist of the Year, Rumpus. You find these pictures by. Am I going way too fast? There we go. Rumpus, Experimental Contemporary Artist of the Year, the Garys, and Hip Hop Artist of the Year, Factor Chandelier, Indigenous Artist of the Year, the North Sound, and Metal Loud Artist of the Year, the Basement Paintings, Rock Pop Artist of the Year, Weapons, and even the Music Video of the Year, I believe, is a Saskatoon company called Versa Films, and a guy named Dylan Hrychuk won a Video of the Year for Spirit Box, Blessed Be. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, by the way, everybody. And then the Broadway Theater, something that's very dear and close to my heart, won 2 awards.
That's
venue
awesome.
of the Year and Industry Achievement.
They're such a
But
great
let's
venue.
let's not forget to mention, Jeffrey Straker. Way to go, Jeff. Roots Folk Artist of the Year, another non-Saskatoon winner, but nonetheless a winner in every category he ever is.
Yes.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It was amazing. So just congratulations to everybody, and congratulations Saskatoon for having so much great talent here. So let's just go ahead, and because we're so excited to bring Jay on, we're going to have our first guest on right away here. And Jay is, he's a local legend. He has 9 solo albums, and then, of course, albums with the Northern Pikes. There's over 10 there. And he also wrote music for Due South, which is a big TV show. Both of us have a rich and loving friendship with Jay. we just love him dearly, and he's been a part of our lives in different ways. And so it's quite fitting that we have him as our first guest. Jay Semko, we're so excited to have you.
Hey
Welcome,
guys.
Jay. Welcome, Jay.
Oh, thanks guys. Thank you for having me here. Congratulations on the new show. It's super exciting, and you guys look and sound great. You got the world's coolest microphone happening there. I'm
Awesome.
digging it. So, yes,
Okay.
as you were saying, I mean, we've been friends, since we were pretty much kids, Johnny and I, anyway, and then got to know Leslie a few years later in Toronto, and yeah, it's really. I have some fun with you guys. Oh well, we'll talk further about this stuff.
Yeah, but so you and I first met way back when the Idols were like a five-piece. A good friend of mine named Robin Billington went and auditioned for your band, and he came back and he was super excited about it and told me, like, they know the Buzzcocks, and it was like, wow, who are these people? And he got in the band, and it was started hanging out, and man, as a bass player who likes Peter Hook and Paul McCartney and a lot of great bass players, I gotta say you have had one of the biggest influences on me. Just growing up with you and watching you play was huge. So just want to say that to you, buddy.
So he's a friend and a fan of yours.
That's really nice. I mean, well, Johnny, I remember we played in a band called 17 Envelope, and you were the bass player, and I played guitar in that band along with Robin Billington and Al Edgar on the drums.
Yeah.
And we had a steady gig, as I recall, at the National Hotel in Calgary.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting. Oh man, look at that! It was a very interesting. Geez, I think it was about 100 pounds less back then.
Yeah, man, you and me both.
Oh well, but the National, man, that was fun. I remember it was kind of a dump, but at the same time, they always had kind of interesting bands, and we would cruise out. I remember we'd go out and play for there were like 3-nighters we would do there, and we'd stay in the National and have fun, and it was. I remember a couple times it was just like 50 below outside, and people still went. Man, it was just like that's the thing about prairie folk. I think is they're
hardy.
They're hardy, and they like to get out, and they love music, really, But we played. I mean, we played Foxy's and played lots of other places along the way.
I remember nights at Foxy's, just even going there as a patron. Going to see a band. It was a great place to hang out and see a band. And I remember when MTV first came on, they had Pac-Man and MTV playing, so we'd always go there and drink and play video games. But on a night like tonight, or like the previous two we've had here in Saskatoon, you'd go to Foxy's and you'd come out in the parking lot, and there'd be like every car in the parking lot would be running. You just to stay warm, so you could drink and drive drunk home, but at least be warm, right? So those were good times. Yeah, those were good times.
Yeah, well, that was the early '80s, as I recall. It was the early '80s there.
Yeah, it was. That was the early '80s for sure.
Do
you remember when we? Let's put our heads together on this. You remember when we recorded in Rosetown, 17 Envelope EP that we did there?
We did that out at Studio West, and I remember Jerry Gullah was the engineer, and Jerry's still around in Saskatoon and still active, I think, in music and stuff. And we went up there. We did that EP pretty quick too. I think we did it in just a few days. It was like, as I recall, it was 2 or 3 days, and we banged it off. And that EP actually had the original version of Teenland, which became kind of a big song for the Northern Pikes a few years later. And but it was fun. I mean, it was fun to record. It just as with many bands, I mean, we didn't last that long. No. The first time I met you, Johnny, you were playing in other bands too. You were playing with Brian in Pike Brian Potvin in Doris Day. Doris Day was the name of the band, with Milan Davidovich, who I've just recently kind of reconnected with him on Twitter, which was very interesting. I don't know where he's at. I thought he was in Japan, but
he was. But he moved to Toronto. I actually saw him I saw him several times in Toronto. He came.
But you guys were
play.
It was a cool band. I remember
Yeah,
he used popsicle sticks. He had a real kind of a analog keyboard, and he would use the popsicle sticks to kind of sustain the keys. You know, he'd sort of shove them in there,
jam them in between the keys, and they would stay down.
and they
And
would
they,
stay down. But it was,
yeah,
well, you guys were a
yeah.
cool band, and
And
we
it was
played
an
lots of
ace
music.
it was an ace tone organ on top of an ironing board is what he used for the
Oh,
keyboard stand too,
that's
right?
the ironing board. I remember the ironing board.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was cool.
So
You guys were a
yeah,
cool band. You were always way ahead of your time. You know what I mean? It was just like, which Leslie, I guess, made the move. You made the move to Toronto, and very courageous. Did you go out on your own, or did you go out with anybody, or did you have a game plan when you went?
well, I was going out with a girl at the time who was going to go to Ryerson, and I'd been here in Saskatoon after high school and played in a couple bands, and everybody got out. Everybody got a degree at university, and I was like, I got to get out of that. I got to get out of Dodge because I haven't done anything really. So she went out there, and I helped her move out there, and I should be talking about myself. We should be talking about Jay. Anyways, I answered some ads in Now magazine, and I went for an audition to a band that later turned out to be called Ministry of Love. They asked me to join, and I said, no, I'm going back to Saskatoon. So I went back to Saskatoon, and we had a long distance relationship for about a year. And then next year I moved out there, and then we broke up. So, but yeah, that's how I got out there, Jay.
Well, here's a quick question. Maybe it's not a quick answer. I don't know. But when was the first time you two guys met? Because I don't know that.
That was that was when I auditioned for Pursuit of Happiness. So that was on
Queen.
Queen.
Off Queen.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Parkdale.
Parkdale. Yeah. And so I went there to audition, and Johnny and Dave Gilby were playing foosball or something upstairs. And I walked by. It was the first time that we looked at each other, and I think I gave him a second look, and maybe you did too. I don't know. I can't remember. And that was when we first met. And then we started rehearsing and hanging out and stuff. So that's that story.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know many people in Saskatoon know that your history here with Greenbrier Golf and Country Club there.
Mm.
I remember too. Also one summer working out at the clubhouse painting. I think you got us out there, and your dad hired us, and that was very awesome. So how do you feel about golf these days? You still doing much of it?
I love golf, but I really don't. I haven't played much. I played a lot when I was younger, and I was actually fairly proficient at it as a younger person. But I guess I got into my early 20s, and I just really sort of neglected that. But I remember that at the golf course there, and my folks would, they were generous to me and my other musician friends when we were between gigs, and kind of, for me, I was on a pattern where I'd move out and I'd live on my own for a while, and then be really broke. Say, hey, I could come back to the basement for a while, and then I would do that and come back, and then the golf course, man. I learned some interesting skills there along the way. A little bit about small engines and irrigation systems, and how to not cut off my fingers in the the greens cutting machine there, and things like that. It was like
Oh my gosh.
I did play. I really love playing. I've thought maybe I might start playing again. It's funny because Pike Bryan has become this golf fanatic, living out in Nova Scotia now.
Oh wow. Hey.
So he's and especially during this last year with the year of COVID, it's there's been an awful lot of people are chomping at the bit, and he's so he was out. He was anytime I ever talked to him, he was like on a cell phone on the golf course, like just going around playing game after game after game. I think a lot of people actually did that. I think I let's put it this way: I love playing golf, but I hardly ever play. But maybe this year, maybe I'll start playing more. Just
Yeah. Well, because you can kind of do it safely, right? Like it's outside, and you can kind of. Well, I guess if you're going out with other people, then that's tough. You'd have to
Yeah.
go with people in your bubble or your
well,
family.
No,
But
I'm not a golfer, Jay, but I've been golfing once a year, and it's been at Greenbrier. But I hear in the inner circle of golf in Saskatoon, there's a rumor going around that you're the guy with the sweet swing.
oh, get out! Really, I didn't know this about Jay. Didn't know you when you were a golfer
well,
or any of this.
you know what? I learned that from my dad, and he's taught me that when you golf, you have to think of it like waltzing. So, which I think
Wow.
he got from Sam Snead, and I read it. Sam Snead, his autobiography many years ago called "The Education of a Golfer." But the whole thing was, it's just the old 1, 2, 3, turn and hit. It's like just try and keep it smooth, and it's like a waltz. Rhythm is such a big part of it,
There's
you
a
know.
rhythm. Yeah.
But it's such an athletic game now. I mean, you look at, there's so many players like Tiger Woods is, you know, such an amazing athlete, just not just at golf. He's so developed in many ways, and you see the whole new generation of young professional
Yeah.
players, and man, they're so good. They're just like they're kind of.
There's a great documentary on Tiger Woods that we saw a little bit of, and it's worth checking out. I don't know. I think it might be on Netflix, but it's pretty cool. It just talks about his relationship with his father as well, and what his father would do to him while he was practicing. His father would come up to him and poke him and talk and try and constantly bug him so that he would be laser focused. He would do that all the time, and he'd even be tired. We'd doing like playing a game or whatever, and his father would be talking really really loud, and his friends around would be like, "Why keep it down?" He'd be like, "No, no, he can handle it," and so
Hmm.
that helps him, I guess, maybe with his just his focus.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see
It's
that
good.
documentary. I mean, it reminds me in many ways of. Well, I guess it's like stage parents everywhere. You hear about like
Oh
Mozart,
yeah,
Mozart and Beethoven, and Mozart was a child prodigy, and his dad hauled him around Europe, like a performing, monkey to sort of this little wee kid that was so good, and it was a way to make money, way to generate money.
yeah,
Having
yeah.
said that, I saw an interview recently, and I think it was with somebody who had been a child actor, and they were talking about the pressure that they were under with because they became a child star, but all of a sudden they were kind of the breadwinner and providing employment and income for family and many other people, and it was just a lot of pressure on kids. So
Oh
oh
yeah, no
well, it's sort
kidding.
of one of those things that I guess you just kind of
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
yeah.
know. I was not a child prodigy, so I didn't have to really worry about that.
Well, if you
Well,
go
that's
back,
I want to mention
if
too. Ian Lawn just said he made a comment and said it's on HBO Crave. So thanks, Ian,
yeah, thanks,
for
Ian.
letting us know about that. So HBO Crave is what
Well, you were a
that
bit of
Tiger
a
Woods is on.
you were a bit of a child prodigy, Jay, because you had the Sandstone Masons too.
That was the first band I was in. Actually, we were called the Sandstone Masons, and I think I was shortly after I moved back to Saskatoon, and I had an electric guitar. I had a Raven electric guitar and a symphonic amp, and I took the two highest strings off the guitar so that I could sort of fake that it was a bass. It really wasn't quite the same sound there. But
Yeah.
no, I remember
Oh.
that was with my buddies. Who was in that? Mark Wolf, John Bailey, I think John's brother Byron. Uh,
Well, is guitar the first instrument that you started playing, and how old were you when you realized like, oh no, I have to do this? When did you find that passion for music and for playing?
I always loved music, and as a kid, when I was 6, I guess it was just I had been in Saskatoon in grade 1 for a couple of months, and then our family moved out to a farm outside of the city, and so I switched schools. And the school that I went to, they offered that they had a piano teacher that would come and give lessons, and it was relatively cheap. So my folks signed me up for this, and I loved sitting at the piano and noodling around. We didn't have a piano at our house, but we lived very close to my grandpa and grandma, and they had a piano, and so I would go there to try and practice. But I always found it very challenging to connect notes with the playing. I could figure out melodies very simply on my own, and find out how songs went just noodling around. But when it came to reading the notes, it was very challenging for me. And but anyway, my dad also, he was trying to play the guitar when I was a little kid, and he had an acoustic guitar and he had a little songbook, and he was learning kind of folk songs like Red River Valley and simple songs like that. And I would hear him noodling around, and then I'd pick up his guitar and kind of mess around with it. And then I guess what ended up happening was every Saturday, I guess I was about 10 by then, and I would go to the YMCA. We would drive into the city, and I took swimming lessons there. I took swimming lessons and did other sports stuff there. And they had an ad that said guitar lessons. And so I was very excited about this. So I used my dad's guitar and took a series of 10 guitar lessons at the YMCA. And it was great because he didn't bother with like notes or anything, anything hard like learning, reading music. Although I must say, I did learn. I did the piano thing for a few years, and I'm still really a horrible piano player, but I did learn at least up to like grade 1 of note reading. And so since then I've bought I buy these like easy to read notebooks, and it's really fun for me to try and play them on the piano and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, he was great. And so I remember learning 4 strong winds. That was a big achievement, to learn 4 strong winds. And I learned open chords, and that really got me hooked after taking the lessons there and learning a few chords and realizing, wow, I can actually sort of hum along these songs. And then from there, I guess once we moved into the city, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years later, started taking guitar lessons with my friend John Bailey at Gordie Brandt's Music downtown. And we'd go down and we'd take the bus down, and I guess I was about 11 by then, 11 or 12, and take lessons. And from then, I guess I took some bass lessons, and it really, so much of it, I never looked at it as work. Once I kind of knew what I wanted to do with it, I just loved it, and I was totally engrossed in it. And I started learning the things that I was learning in my lessons and putting them towards learning songs that I heard on the radio and songs that were on records. I started kind of actually buying records, LP records, as a kid, and
moving them back, starting a song over.
Oh yeah, you got to be an expert at like taking that needle and finding that one spot so I could figure out, how do you do that? How do they play this over and over? And as you say, John, I realized I wasn't the world's greatest guitar player, and at the school I was going to, there were a few really good guitar players, but I thought, well, every band needs a bass player, at least, this is pre-White Stripes, I guess, so but I learned the bass, and I started taking bass lessons and started practicing like crazy. And and I learned from George Tennant. He was my teacher, who's still a very active bass player in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
And I took lessons for about a year with him, and he taught me a lot of really valuable stuff that I was able to translate into these songs I would learn. And I would listen to David Bowie records and Rolling Stones records and Beatles records and kind of figure this out. And a lot of it started making a lot more sense once I had a little bit of theory and could, translate that into the songs that I was attempting to learn. And it was, and then I kind of locked myself away for a few years. I just kept practicing and practicing. And I finally got to the point where I emerged from my room and I could play all right, and I started jamming with different musicians, and I was really lucky too, because the street that I lived on in Saskatoon, our family lived on, just right down the street was a guitar player who was a year younger than me by the name of Mark Wolf, and there was a drummer who was a year older than me by the name of Jim Walker, and both very good players as kids. Mark was a good guitar player, and Jim was a really good drummer. In fact, I think at age 16, I think he was the world amateur snare drumming champion, and he played in pipe bands, pipes and drums, and he's just a monster on the snare, and a monster drummer. And Mark was a really, really good guitar player, and so I had to kind of step up, and I had it. By then, kind of had a bass, and I had a bass amp, and I started jamming regularly with these guys. And there was music on that street. I was very fortunate. It's just the Brandts, Gordy Brandt music, and the Brandts lived just down the street as well. And so I would hear. There was always music coming out of their house, out of the basement. I would hear.
Was that still on Garrison there, the corner of
On
Garrison?
Kirk Crescent was
Okay.
the street actually,
Okay.
yeah. And Julie played the harp, and Kim played the bass, and he went on to play. He went on to play with Ian Tyson and the Great Speckled Bird and a number of
Wow.
bands through the years, and of course Gordy was just a monster guitarist,
I remember.
and Mrs. Brandt, Audrey Brandt, she was a jazz singer, and that's how they met. And they toured. They were on the road for years and years. So,
Right.
Became very good friends. It's always really interesting to see Mrs. Brandt because she knows the deal. She's been on the road. It was a little different music and a little different time, but the theories are the same. Same with my grandpa McCaskill, or my grandpa Simcoe was a violinist, and my granny Simcoe played the piano and the guitar. And I would go over there.
So your roots in music run deep there.
They do run deep, actually.
That's cool.
And like
That's
I say,
cool.
it's just luck and being around people. I remember going to my granny and grandpa's house, and
Hey Jay,
they jammed.
hey, I want you to help my memory out here. Remember there was a gig, I think it was the Idols and the Dial Tones. Was that Chiquita Viva? Was that her band, the Dial Tones, or is that something else?
Yeah, I think her band was the Dial Tones.
And you guys played, was that the Forestry Farm or Sutherland Hall?
The Forestry Farm we played, and Chiquita Viva came up and guested on a couple of songs with us.
Yeah, and there's rumors going out through the crowd that she had a gun, and then
Yeah.
and then it got like the rockers came and started beating on the punks and things got smashed. Do you remember that night?
I do remember the night. She
my
didn't have a
goodness.
gun or anything, and
Yeah.
it turned out to be all just fine. She came up and
Yeah.
played some songs with us. But yes, it got very goony at the end of the night.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure you and every other musician in the world has witnessed a lot of violence in
Yeah.
alcohol-fueled situations.
Yeah.
And boy,
So,
that was a wild one at the end of the night. And it was
Yeah.
kind of. I remember another place where that happened was the Hat. Remember the Hat, the Manhattan Ballroom?
Yeah.
I remember we played a gig there in the Idols one night. I remember they had a little wee dressing room sort of off the stage to the side. It was very small. And what ended up happening out there was people were throwing bottles and breaking bottles. And it was just like a movie because I remember sitting here and I thought, screw this. I'm going to go outside. I'm not going to hide out here. And I remember opening up the door to the dressing room with the Hat, and immediately a beer bottle whack beside my head, glass flying everywhere. And I was like, okay, I think I'll just go back in the room here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
It-
was. Yeah,
we were-
just funny
we were-
things happened.
We were just watching last night. We didn't get a chance to finish it yet, but we were watching the Teenage Head movie, and which is really
documentary,
good. It's
It is
really
really
good.
good,
Gene
yeah.
Champagne from the Killjoys is in the band, and our friend Dave Raves sings with them. So, but we went to Regina on the Idols bus to open for Teenage Head. The Idols opened for Teenage Head, and I remember this one story. It was weird. It was at the university, and the Idols had this sort of off-stage area, but there were stairs that went down to a basement area, which was where Teenage Head had their green room. I guess was their hospitality, right? And you guys had done your stuff. We're packed up. Everything's off stage, and we're waiting backstage just to see Teenage Head come out. And you hear these chains coming up the steps, chains on their pants and jeans and stuff. And then the door flies open, and there's Teenage Head, and they're all like double fisting wine bottles of Strawberry Angel. I'll never forget that. It's just like,
Oh man, we opened for them a bunch of times. I think did 17 Envelope open for them too? You
I don't
remember?
recall that. No.
No,
I don't-
but
I
I
don't
do
think so.
remember in the Idols opening for Teenage Head, and they were becoming very popular. They had the big song. What was the song? Let's Shake became a huge hit, and Yeah, it was fun. It was exciting, opening for other groups. I really learned a lot. I really did, just seeing what they do and how they conduct themselves and what they're listening for when they do their sound checks and things like that. A lot of it, so much of it, as you guys know, is just trial and error, just doing it. Nobody's gonna, you can't really learn it. You just have to kind of do it. You just sort of get used to, like, I remember the first time I ever played with monitors, stage monitors, and hearing myself. And I had played a bunch of gigs in the Idols. We didn't use stage monitors. We just used the front of the house and this really basic white light show. And that's, maybe that's why they really hated us in a few, a few little towns along the way. It was funny, some little townspeople would be a little intimidated because we were different. We were kind of like we were billed as Saskatchewan's first new wave band, and we played a lot of covers of obscure artists from Britain and beyond, and we were starting to write our own songs then too, so it was kind of weird for people, I think. But some places people would get very intimidated, and they, I can literally remember being run out of town. I mean, where people are, you throw your stuff in the van and guys are trying to punch you, and you hop in there and booting it out of town, and truckloads of angry drunk people driving beside you and hurling beer bottles at the side of the van. And it was like, frightening, and but at the same time, it was an adventure. I was like in my teens when that was happening. So it was an adventurous time, But then at the same time, you'd go to other towns and people would just love it. And they would really enjoy the fact that you were kind of different. At the end of it all, you're just a rock and roll band. It's just like, it doesn't really matter. It's just whether they play, whether you played enough songs that people kind of recognized or not. But they were adventures. At the time, they were somewhat stressful, but now I look at it and I get a good laugh out of it because it's,
Well, every time we got together, we've always had a good laugh. I mean, coming to visit you guys when you were living in Toronto on Avenue Road, and the other apartment you had way up north at Don Mills and York Mills or something like that, or way the hell out there. And
we stayed in this just roach infested. This is the first time I think the Pikes went out there. First couple of times, and I had never dealt with cockroaches before. It was sort of an Eastern thing, and
exactly right.
It is.
This apartment, it was Hillside Apartments on Avenue Road. It's just sort of between St. Clair and Bloor, and it was just infested with cockroaches. Man, I'd never experienced that before, and they were everywhere. And I mean, we would go out and we'd play almost every night. And I mean, we'd drive back after the gig, what we would call the 401 tour. You'd go, basically between Montreal all the way down to the U.S. border, and there were lots of places to play back then. This is the mid '80s, and we'd play these gigs. And I mean, we got so used to the cockroaches that we would. Well, there's a thing you can buy. It's a little thing called Roach Motel, and it's like a box with adhesive stuff in it, and the roaches would go in. Well, roaches go in, but they don't check out, or whatever. That was a commercial.
Yeah.
In one day, I remember we put it behind the stove. It was so full, there was no more room. Like there were like 100 of these things in the Roach Motel. But I remember we come in at the end of the night, and everybody, after a while, it became like a standard thing. Everybody would have a magazine or a newspaper rolled up. You come in after the gig, and then, okay, everybody ready? Okay, open up the door, flick on the lights, and just start beating on cockroaches because they're everywhere, running all over. It was just like crazy.
Yeah. When you turn the lights on, they scatter.
Yeah. I think I saw your guys' first gig. Was your first gig at the Holiday at the corner of Bathurst and Queen?
Yeah. It was a Holiday. No, it wasn't. The first gig in Toronto was opening for Jeffrey Hatcher, the Jeffrey Hatcher group at the Horseshoe Tavern. Right. We did an opening set, and then the next night we headlined at the Holiday Tavern.
Across the street,
Yeah, across the street there. Yeah. And it was, cool. It was a fun time. I remember I was very, the good thing is we were so naive, we really didn't know what we were doing in some ways, because apparently all these A&R guys came out to see us at the Holiday Tavern, and it was they were all there. Apparently a large percentage anyway of the A&R people in Toronto were there to see us because there was a buzz about the band by then. We put out our second EP, and we hadn't played Toronto yet. So, afterwards I got more nervous than before. Nobody told us. Our manager, Fraser, one of our managers was Ed and Fraser, and he made the wise decision to not freak us out and tell us that there were all these people coming to see us that might be interested in possibly signing the band. So, but it was a fun and interesting time, you know.
Yeah, for sure it was. It was a very exciting time. So,
Let's talk about current. Like, let's talk about what's going on with you. Just during, of course, the pandemic. You know how you're coping with that, and you know, let's start with that. Just like how are you coping with the pandemic? Because it's hard on a lot of people, just to everybody pretty much, but artists, of course. You know, artists that make a living, you know, playing live shows, and also just that's their passion, playing live shows. When they can't do it, then that's a very difficult thing to deal with. So, how are you doing?
Well, you know, I remember I played, and I was trying to remember, maybe March 10th or 11th, and that was a show that was being recorded by CBC for Saskatchewan Weekend, and it was at the Bon Temps Cafe in Saskatoon, and it was a cool concept actually, because they ran a contest on CBC Radio 1 out of Regina, the Saskatchewan Weekend, where people would write in with events, the true events that had happened to them in their lives, and they had chosen 3 songwriters, myself and Bill Plain and Earl Pereira, and basically they give us a choice of these various ideas, you know, stories that people had about their own lives, and then we would write a song about it and play it there at the gig, which I did, and so did Earl. Earl wrote 2 actually, and Bell, and it was really quite challenging and really quite fun, because we did each did a short set, which was recorded there as well. So it was just not that one, not the one new song, which I needed to have a music stand and try and remember the words and that kind of thing. But that was right the next morning. The gig was fun, et cetera, et cetera. It was really good. And the next morning they canceled the Juno Awards, which were supposed to be happening. The event that I played at was kind of, I guess, a pre-Juno thing happening. So they canceled it the next day. And then everything changed, and I didn't play. You know, I guess I played a couple of private things in August. I played actually in my sister's backyard, and then subsequently did a couple of private things and a couple of public things through the fall, just solo acoustic stuff. All the Northern Pikes shows were either canceled or postponed, and yeah, it's been weird. It's been a weird time, you know. I mean, I told somebody actually today that I was talking to that I don't think in the last year, there's never been a year since I was in my teens that I traveled less. You know, I mean, I've been to Regina, I think 3 times to record voiceovers for various things. That's one of the things I do is I do voiceovers, and you can hear my voice in commercials and public service announcements and things like that. But
yeah.
I've made 3 trips to Regina, and that I really haven't gone anywhere, and that's very unusual, you know, just to have not traveled very much. So, but yeah, no, it's been challenging. Yeah, you know, I go up and down. I went through a real challenging phase where I decided to. Well, I didn't decide to. I reacted to things as opposed to I was reactive as opposed to.
Hard not to, man.
Yeah, you know, and I, you know, and then I sort of, so I got off of social media for a few months during the fall.
Yeah.
I really just got off, and I thought, you know what, I need a break from this, and was working on some other projects along the way, and it was really good for me to do that, because I came back refreshed and with a more positive attitude, and I basically decided, you know, there's enough stress and enough tension and enough conflict going on. I don't need to be contributing to that in any way anymore. So, you know, I've just tried to keep things positive, but it's, you know, I've been doing a lot of writing through the COVID experience. I've written with you guys. We've done some co-writing online,
Yeah.
and I've written with a few other people. online, and it's been really good. I was adding up the songs. I think there's been about 25 songs that I think I've written since COVID or I co-written with others as well.
Yeah.
And I have been doing some live stuff. In fact, I have some live shows coming up. I'm playing at the Nutrien Fireworks online Valentine's special. It's on February 13th.
Nice.
And it's online viewing. There's no on-site viewing, but it's all free. It's myself. There's two other artists, Graham Dick and Caitlin Lehner. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name correctly. There's two fireworks shows.
Lehner.
Yeah,
It's Lehner. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for Caitlin for mispronouncing your name. But anyway, we each play a couple. We do two sets each, and I'm just going to be playing solo acoustic. And for the Nutrien Fireworks online, you can go to your favorite restaurant and watch, or you can book a room at the Alt Hotel. You can sign up, watch with your family bubble. It's all free. There'll be prize shows.
That's awesome. That's
awesome. Working with Chad Ali and his team at On Purpose. And what's the other one? There's another thing that I'm doing 2 days before, and that is, what the heck is that? I had some notes for that one that I now seem to have lost. But anyway, it's
like I'm watching myself.
No, I know that I have it. Yeah. It's where did I know that I wrote down some notes here. Hold on, because I gotta find it because I think it's quite interesting. It's the Eclat Lighting. Oh, there it is. Eclat Lighting Initiative, and playing there too. Now this is interesting because I've been, I guess, kind of commissioned to write a song for this, and it's
awesome.
Yeah, it's the Eclat Lighting Initiative. It runs February 10th through 12th. It's all online. It's a global conference for lighting, art, design, and infrastructure. And people from all over the world are involved in this. They'll be doing some installations, which you can take in, for sure online and maybe in person. And I'm writing a piece of original music for them, which is a positive, forward-looking piece about light, Saskatoon, and the world.
Awesome.
And, let me give these websites, because I think that's important, because all the information is there for people. And that's that website is eclatlightinginitiative.org. So it's Eclat Lighting Initiative.org. The other one is a Nutrien, www.nutrienfireworksfestival.ca. And so those are a couple of things where I'm actually performing live music, and it's exciting. I've written music for lots of different things over the years, and I'm right in the midst of working on this song actually. So I'm hoping to finish it tonight, and I'm going in to record it with my buddy Randy Woods in the next couple of days. And
Absolutely, right?
Absolutely, yes, indeed. Well, no, it's the RWB, Randy Woods Band, and he's. But anyway, it's sort of so I must say I got to a point where I decided I'm gonna just get busy, because obviously playing live music the gigs have been very few and far between, and you have to adapt accordingly. So, you just adjust yourself. But I mean, I've done a lot of co-writing. I have two other just regular writing, not songwriting, just writing projects that I'm working on right now. I'm planning to do a new album. I'm thinking later this year. And I've got another television series that is in the early stages of development that I'm hoping something good happens from there. And continuing to write. I mean, there's you can be as busy, and I'm also a great procrastinator, so I'm very behind in a lot of really boring stuff that has to do with paperwork and business things that need to be caught up with. So there's no shortage of things. I get up fairly early in the morning, and I'm going till dark. you know.
There you go.
That's
So
so great,
that's-
Jay. Oh my God, this has been so. We have to have you on again.
Yeah,
if you
we
would
gotta
if you would come on, because there's so many other
Oh.
things that I want to ask you about.
Sorry,
And,
I'll just start rambling on. I'm sorry if I've
Oh,
rambled
it's
on
great.
for
It's,
too long.
it's
You know,
so
Yeah.
awesome.
Keep
It's
talking. That's why
wonderful.
you're the best guest. Awesome.
Oh.
So,
Exactly.
but there's so many other things like I want to talk to you about. So
Yeah, so I hope you'll come back on
got,
again, because we need another session with you for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me here, and congrats on the new show. And
Yeah,
you know,
congrats
congrats
to
on the new
you.
record too, the brand new record. You know,
Yeah,
and you know what?
yeah.
I host a radio show called The Songwriters every Tuesday on Tuesday
Yes.
afternoon on CFCR, and I played Ghost. I played Ghost.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Not
thank
this
you.
show, but when your record first got released, I literally what a great song that is, man! I was humming that song all week. It's just a great hook, and
Aw,
I don't know.
thank
It's so
you,
cool
Jay.
to hang out and talk with you guys. You're
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
friends
Awesome, Jay.
for friends for decades, and it's really
Yeah.
fun to be able to hang out and chit chat.
It
You know, it's
is.
cool.
Yeah,
It's
it's awesome.
awesome.
We both love you so much, and you're
Love you guys too.
you're a awesome guy to have as part of Saskatoon, and
Yeah, no
you
kidding.
know, thanks for helping to keep the music live from Saskatoon and putting it out there to the world. So
Yeah.
we'll have you back on here anytime.
Yeah.
And there's
Thanks,
much,
guys.
much more to talk about, Jay.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Okay, take care, guys.
Okay,
Okay.
take care.
Stay safe. See you
Yeah,
soon.
for sure, you too. So we're just gonna do a quick shout out, very quick shout out to sponsor, and then we're going to have Chris Henderson come on.
Yeah, who's been very
And
patient,
so
waiting.
He's been patiently waiting.
Yeah.
And so we're just gonna do a little shout out here to our sponsor. It's Milius Terra Media and Events, and they specialize in social media management and live streaming. So if you have an event, a private or public event, just reach out to Milius Terra for all of your needs. And their email
Oh, it's right there, yeah.
address that they have up here is reach.out@miliusterra.ca.
Cool. Thank you, Milius Terra. And I also got to give a shout out to our good buddy Kevin Sick from K-Sick Productions, who we've been working with for band stuff, live streaming band stuff. He's awesome. Any bands in the city need any sort of video work like that, give him a call. You can find him. Email us, or you'll find him on Facebook. But anyways, Les, there's a ton of people here who've been sending messages
okay,
too,
so
right?
is there any questions
So,
or anything? Just quickly before, we'll just take a look quickly before
Well,
we have Chris come on.
Robbie White says there's a lot of booze behind you.
Yeah, I know. I had a little bit of an issue with that, but Johnny likes the booze back there.
Well,
so
I mean, at least there's booze there. If there was no booze, then we'd be in a dire situation.
I don't know.
Anyways,
Okay, so is there any other questions here?
hi Meg.
How's things, Jay Semko? Oh, that was Jay Allen said hello to Jay. I don't know if Jay's still on
Yeah,
saying.
oh yeah. It's
We were just engrossed in Jay's
Ian
stories
Long,
always.
yeah.
So
man, he can weave a good yarn.
He
there, eh?
can,
I love just talking.
So
to Jay.
hi, hey, Darlene Seifert, and
Michelle
she's
Serby. Hi,
giving
Michelle.
a shout out to Kevin Sick, and there's Meg.
Kathy Allen. How
Hi,
you doing? Thanks for tuning in,
Meg.
guys.
And yeah, so
It
hey
goes up, I
everybody.
guess. You can go up here.
Yeah,
There's
so-
more up there.
Oh
some more
yeah,
up here, I think.
okay. Just
Robbie White, Warren Metternach. Hey, Kevin Sick.
don't
There
know
you
if
be.
he's still on,
Robbie
but
White.
anyways, okay.
Dan Mason.
And there's Susan.
Oh, wow. Look at these. This is awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, thanks you guys.
We're going to do this every Wednesday at 7. And
get this
every
done.
week we'll have some guests. And we'll...
We kind of went a little over time tonight, just because we're just, old friends with Jay, and we
Well,
just get
yeah,
on
we're friends with Jay, but, not only that.
and he's amazing. And we just love him.
Ian said, there's no rules. You can go as long as you want. So,
Well, that's true. Ian did say that. So
maybe next week
he
there'll
doesn't-
be
he
a new rule.
exactly. So let's just bring out, because Chris Henderson.
Well, wait a sec. We had something here.
Yeah, we can do that and not let Chris wait any longer here. So
Yeah, Chris.
let's bring Chris on. Chris Anderson's an independent Saskatchewan artist with a lot of success, which is really hard to do. So we want to know like his secrets, because holy
Yeah.
moly, I think every independent artist wants to know that secret. He has 4 albums out, and he's released 15 singles to national radio, which is amazing. And he's a 3-time SCMA winner for Male Performer of the Year. And he's been nominated 40 times.
40 times, like
for Saskatchewan Country Music
dude,
Award.
how old are you? 40 times. Like,
Been at it a while, I guess. So.
yeah.
Wow. So it's awesome that you can come on the show. Thank you so much for being here with us, and
My
thank you
pleasure.
for patiently waiting.
Thanks for
My
waiting. Yeah.
pleasure.
So
That's okay. You had
we-
Jay Semco talking, and I was tuning in and just listening in. So a big
Awesome.
fan of Jay. So
yeah, it's hard not to be, right?
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit to you put out 4 albums. First couple of albums you put out, you got a lot of notice with your first couple of albums, and then did you want to ask a question there?
Well, no, I wanted to just establish that
You keep
where
looking
we
at me
where we
like,
met
"What?"
where we met Chris.
Okay, well,
right?
yeah, sure. That's a good
so,
idea, actually.
We met.
Before I drill down and
We're all members of the SCMA, Saskatchewan Country Music Association, and but I think the first time we met really was at Telemiracle,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's right.
so-
Oh, look at that.
we shared it. We shared a dressing room together.
yes,
That's
right.
fantastic. I'm impressed that he had a photo like that to pull up. That's thorough background work. For
That's
the interview.
right. That's right.
Right. So that was a lot of fun, and you were really, really, really kind to us. You were like,
You were,
Oh,
you
wow.
were,
Look
you
at
were
that.
like our
So nice,
rock.
yeah.
You were my
Look at that.
rock,
Look
anyways.
at that baby face right there. Look at that.
yeah. Yeah. So we've only been back in Saskatchewan for 10 years, and have only really been involved in the SCMA now for 5 years or so, right? Which, by the way, is a great organization. Any people who want to get involved with something, SCMA is great for, we need
Kevin.
volunteers. They put on a great show every year for the Saskatchewan country music artists. That's pretty cool. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention in the last segment there about the SCMA Awards, I didn't mention Bart McKay. And have you had the chance to work with Bart?
Oddly enough, I think I'm the only Saskatchewan artist in history that hasn't worked with Bart McKay. I've played live with him before, and he's a fantastic guy, an incredibly talented producer. But
Yeah.
I've done work in other places, and I know a lot of people over the years definitely have worked with Bart for good reason. He's a national winner, a provincial winner, and just a great human being.
So are you a Regina guy, born and raised in Regina?
No, I was born in Estevan, born and raised in Estevan, Saskatchewan, right down in the southeast corner. And then grew up there, went to university, eventually moved up to Regina when I was 18 years old, and I bounced around a little bit and, lived in Regina for a number of years. My wife and I actually live in a small town in Wilcox, Saskatchewan these days. We've been living here a little over 3 years now, and we're just really enjoying the small town life.
Wow, okay, you
Wilcox,
mentioned-
Wilcox is the hockey town, right? Is
That's
that-
right, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
right on. Okay, cool.
And you mentioned university. So what did
Yeah.
you take in university? You got a little bit of a story there that we read about your
Sure.
dad and
Oh, yeah.
directing you.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I went. When I was finished high school, I went straight into and got an education degree, and so I was an English teacher with a phys ed minor. Did a little bit of teaching in phys ed as well, and so I started my teaching career in Fillmore. I was in Carlisle for a semester, so hanging out in that southeast corner again, and then I taught in Regina for a few years, and then decided to resign and focus on music a number of years ago, and there's lots of stuff's happened since then too.
Yeah, for sure.
No
For
kidding.
sure.
No kidding. So wanted to ask you about. You okay there? You need
I'm fine. I need a drink. No.
Just go beyond
You got
us
plenty in
here.
the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we noticed that we couldn't help but notice that Kissing Sadie
Yeah.
from your third album, The Charm, like it has over 175,000 listens on Spotify
Spotify alone.
alone,
Yeah.
which is like, what happened there? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think? What happened and made that song catch, or that album? The album had, like, you did amazing with that album.
That's a good question. People ask me about how the whole streaming thing works, and I mean, I work a little bit on the side of everything else that I do. I've worked a bit in radio promotion, and I honestly don't really know much about the streamers. I know I put every song out, and for whatever reason, that one was playlisted a bunch of times, and it got a bunch of attention in other countries and stuff too, and which makes me happy. I mean, that was a song that I wrote with friends of mine, Joni Delorier and Mike Little. And it was a song that I've always kind of believed in, so it was cool to see it catch on Spotify.
Yeah, it's a great song.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and so it just caught with people. People just loved it and started listening to it, and that's what
I don't
happens
know how
sometimes.
any of this stuff works. You just, in my view, you just make music, put it out there, and I mean, there's marketing strategies and stuff. I don't want to pretend like there's nothing that goes into it, but especially in my life, I mean, I just try to make music, throw it out there, and somehow it hopefully gets a few ears here and there.
Yeah, try and just make the best music you can. We were in a band with a guy who used to say, if you try and cater to the market and you fail, then you're a two-time failure, because not only are you failing yourself and your personal integrity, but you're failing commercially too, right? So just do as best you can at what you do and be who you are, and
And I think that's a lesson. I mean, I've learned that a lot over the course of my career, and I think everybody does, right? I mean, you go through phases, especially when you're younger, where you may be chasing some trends and stuff. But I mean, the older I get, the more that I just don't. It's funny. I'll write one song and it's pure country, and I'll write the next song that's could be R&B, it could be, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. I just make music, and if it feels good, then do it.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Don't let people put you in a box.
That's right. Darn it.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're already stuck in our houses enough and stuck in the box.
Yeah, exactly.
Do that to me musically too.
So
Yeah, go ahead. We have so many questions.
yeah,
You go first.
yeah. So we saw this Facebook post about talking about your dad and going back to school and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And now you actually took a job teaching.
Yeah.
And is that directly related to not being able to go out on the road and having to
totally.
put music on the back burner? You see, so now my
Because
question.
you had your last album out in 2019, right?
Yeah. I had. I mean, 2020. I had plans. I think I had 42 shows that were confirmed that were canceled.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had other 30 odd ones in the mix that I was trying to put together, just out to promote a new record, right? That's what you want to go out and play anywhere and everywhere that you can to that's the kind of thing. So my plan for 2020 was to be on the road as much as possible. And, but like you referenced my Facebook post, I'm fortunate because I know so many more in the music industry didn't have a place to fall. And I mean, certainly earlier in the year when the world was more shut down, it was more difficult. But I've been fortunate. I mean, I have a teaching degree that I did finish. And that story you're referring to was I had an offer to go and do this kind of quasi record deal when I was 20 years old. And I was going to take a leave of absence from university and talk to my mom. And she was very supportive, encouraging. And I went and talked to my dad. And my dad was a professional musician. So I was more like going to tell him the great news.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
About that. Yeah.
I was,
yeah.
I was just going more to tell him the great news. Hey, Dad, I'm quitting school and I'm going on the road. And his reaction was just instantly like pleading with me. No, you're a year and a half from your degree being over. Do that and then go on the road. I don't care if you live in a van after that. Like, just finish the degrees so that you'll have something to fall back on if things go sour. And the music industry will go sour on you at sometimes. It's as you guys know, it's feast or famine. Sometimes you wonder, how the heck is this my life? Everything's amazing. And then the next month you're like, what the hell? What kind of choices did I make to end up here?
Yeah.
But earlier this year I was thankful for that because I finished my degree. I took my dad's advice. Which is good because that tour would have been a disaster anyway, and that deal would have been a disaster. I mean, when when summer kind of hit and we realized this was going to be a longer term thing, I reached out to people I know in the education world, and I've always kind of subbed a little bit, especially during the winter, like when a person doesn't want to be on the road full time. I've kind of kept my toe in the classroom, and so I reached out to some people, and I was lucky enough to get a job. So I was working as a full-time substitute teacher for the fall, which was an interesting job. And then now I've transitioned into I'm working as an online teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll be doing that till at least June, and I don't know where life's going to take any of us in 6 months from now. But I'm thankful that I had a place to fall, and thanks, Dad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well,
Well, that sounds like a good song title or something.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad, or
Thanks,
Dad's
Dad.
advice or
That's-
something.
yeah. I listened to my dad
So
once.
wait, but tell us about your dad though. You said your
Sure.
dad's a professional musician, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, Dad was he left high school and pretty much went on the road when he was 18 years old. Was in bands back in and this would have been mid 60s. He finished high school and started out doing that. So that was still six nighters. Bands were still playing 300 or more shows a year, literally. Where I remember Dad said there was one year they took 1 week off, so they played 51 weeks of 6 nights a week. So I mean, you can do the math. It's that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done years where I've done 150 shows in a year. I can't imagine doubling it.
Yeah,
But
no kidding.
that was the era, and would have been a lot of fun. But so Dad did that for a good 15 or better years, and then I came along and ruined his fun. No.
Didn't we all ruin our parents' fun?
Yeah. No, I mean he got off the road in his later 30s and started a family and passed on a love of music to me. And my brother's also a recording artist and performer as well. So it's something that
wow.
we
Holy
share
moly.
with our family. Yeah.
Have you guys done any music together, or any recording together, or writing, or anything?
We've done some writing. He co-wrote one of the songs on my second album. It was called
Awesome.
Dancer 3, and I've done a bunch of background singing on a lot of his records. At least 2 of his records. I know he's done about 4 now. He goes by the name Poor Nameless Boy, if you've ever heard of that. And
I've heard of that.
yeah, and actually there's a good little story there since we're talking about him and Dad. I got started in working kind of more in a country music, or kind of working more as a professional, I guess. I got started a little bit before Joel did, and my dad had been a professional, and so I mean I would go and play cabarets and at various spots around the province, and people come up and say, "You must be Don Henderson's son," and they expect that I'd know some 60s rock and roll, which I did, and I'd be happy to play it for him.
Aw, that's awesome.
But then my brother kind of got started a few years later, and he's very he's a folk indie artist is what he often refers to himself. And so he sounds nothing like the country sound that I kind of developed. And my dad was a 60s rock and roll guy, so he sounds nothing like that. And so he said, I want a stage name so that people aren't expecting something of me that I'm not.
Right.
And so he was trying to think of a name for the longest time that he wanted to go under. And he went over to visit Dad for coffee one day. And Dad said, have you thought of a stage name yet? He said, no. Dad says, "Oh, poor nameless boy," and that's where he got it.
Great.
Great story.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's great. I love it. Oh my gosh.
So, moving forward, now so many people, not just musicians, but so many people have lost their job or what was their livelihood, and it's hopefully for some people it's a chance to refocus and find something different to do that's maybe they're more passionate about.
Totally.
So like you say, you're fortunate you had the teaching to fall back on. Now when this thing winds down, are you going to try and pick up where you left off, or are you going to try and bring that album back and revive it, or you got something new cooking, or where are you going to start from?
No, I mean, as far as that album goes, I mean, I released singles off of it and promoted some stuff in 2019 and even in 2020. And I've got a project that I'm partnering on that we're going to be launching here next month. That's kind of working with the one more song off of that record. But I mean, I'm already moved on I'm starting to record stuff for album or project number 5. I don't know, album, EP. I just start calling them records now, but
Yeah.
record number 5 I'm working on already now. I've started working with a producer out of Calgary by the name of Troy Coco, who I've done a ton of co-writing with over the years, and so we, it's been different because we've been recording stuff with remotely. So I mean, the drummer might be in BC, and the bass players in Alberta, and the guitar players in Manitoba, and they all send their tracks in, and I'm singing from home with a little rig I've set up. But you start listening to the tracks and going, damn, I mean, that sounds okay. Like, I mean, if he didn't tell you, you wouldn't know any different. And today's day and age, you just got to get creative if you want to keep making music. And but to answer your question, am I going to try and get back? I mean, yeah, music's something that I can't get away from. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, and I hope that I firmly believe that music's in for a revival. Like, I really do. And I, the people in the music community that I've been working with for the last number of maybe probably 5 years or so, we've talked about how it was kind of dying a slow death, the live music scene in Western Canada anyway. It felt like just numbers were getting smaller. The world was going more and more online. People weren't appreciating things. Maybe they didn't have as much money. When I finished work on a Friday night when I was 19 years old, we went and had supper and wings and stuff with a few buddies, and then you went out to the bar. If I wasn't playing a gig, that's how a Friday night went. And we just noticed that kids weren't doing that so much in the last number of years. But going forward, I mean, the dozen or so shows that I've done in the last year, I think there's been people crying at every single one. And it's not because my songs are moving them. It's just the atmosphere of, oh my God, I'm listening to live music.
Yeah.
I'm out with friends. I'm out, I'm not stuck in my house. And so I really think that once the world calms down, I think that'll be sometime. I mean, not that I'm pretending to be a prophet, but I think 2022 is going to be like the revival year of music. I really do. But the key to there will be, how many venues are going to make it through all of this, and
exactly right.
And so where are we all going to play? And there will be places.
But there'll be demand, and then there'll be new places that'll open up.
Yeah, it's going to be a real bottleneck of bands all trying to play at the same time.
And it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. But will I keep teaching I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. If you want me to predict what's going to happen in 6 months, I gave up on that a year ago, man.
Yeah, right.
I know. It's true.
I love
I
still love music. I still plan on doing it and making it a part of my life and my living. And as much as I can do it, I will do it. We'll see what the world allows and what's It's been great to get to do a little bit here and there.
Well, you're still a part of the national cast for Telemiracle, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be a bit of a different year this year, I understand, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very different. I mean, you guys, it was a lot of fun having you there the year that we got to hang out. And as you know, I mean, there's hundreds of people that are coming and going all day long. And whether that's volunteers, performers, technical crew, I mean, there's literally, in a given hour, you might have a turnover of like 200 people that have crossed in one little area. So none of that's kind of feasible this year. We're going to be, kind of a stripped down crew, a smaller cast, and it's going to be on site, but it's still going to be cool. I have to hand it to those that are involved in all the planning, the producers and the planning committee and the chairs and everybody that's involved. They've found a way to pivot and to make it, the best that you can make of it. And I think it's going to be great. And if there's one thing that I know about Saskatchewan people is that they find a way to give, and they find a way to make this special. And I have no doubt that even in the worst year that I can recall in my life, that we'll all be blown away by the generosity of this province again.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Well, you're so great at it too. You're really, people love you. So
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
you.
Okay.
We're lucky to have you out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, we've got a question for you that's not music related. So we want to ask you about I don't know, obviously family is important, but pets are important, aren't they, during this pandemic and keeping us kind of grounded? Do you have any pets?
I have a feeling like there's going to be like a queued up photo or something here coming up there. I absolutely, I absolutely. I've got a couple of dogs. My wife and I, we've had our wiener dog for a little over 9 years now. His name is Relish. We call him Relly, but it's
Relish.
short
His
for
name's
Relish.
Relish.
That's
Oh
a
my
great name
God,
for a
that's so
wiener
cute.
dog. Oh,
I know.
He's awesome. And then we adopted she's a beautiful mutant, is what I often refer to her. About 3.5 years ago, she's a corgi / golden retriever.
Oh,
So,
wow. What
yeah.
happened there?
See what I mean? The beautiful mutant thing. And she's a beautiful dog, but it's like a miniature golden retriever with corgi legs and corgi shorts, like the hair that hangs down off their butt.
Okay,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's a weird mix, but she's a sweetheart and I love her. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. They just give so much love. They just keep giving love.
Yeah.
You know, they really do.
They're happy.
You
to
know,
see
I
you.
remember when I actually Relish was a Christmas present for my wife when we were probably a year and a half into dating, and I remember my now mother-in-law, thought I was crazy because I was gone on the road all the time, and she's like, "Why would you get a dog? She's busy and she can't take care of a dog," and then And within 3 months, she was like, "That was the smartest thing you ever did." And oh my God, like look at that, because they just, Relly's been my wife's best friend for a long time. He's, been my buddy for a long time, and
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
dogs
Yeah.
are the best.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I think we have one more question, and we want to ask you if you remember a memorable Saskatoon gig that you played. Is there anything you think?
We didn't ask Jay.
We forgot to ask Jay.
Yeah, anyways, whatever. We'll get him next
Oh,
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
what
there
are
any
your
gig
most-
that comes to mind?
A Saskatoon highlight. What do you got?
I've got, you say that, I've like just a bunch of different gigs popping in my head right away. Probably one of the funnest ones that I played was the Ag Bag Trag the one year. And I don't know how many people were there, but those kids were, I call them kids now, I would have been the same age as them when I was playing the show, but they were nuts. Like they were absolutely just had lost their minds, and it was so much fun. And I remember at the time I had a song that had done really well. It was called "Don't Miss Your Kiss Goodbye." It was the first time I'd ever had a song that went into the top 50, and it had gotten a ton of radio play in Saskatoon. And I had never, I'd seen people in the crowd singing my songs before, but I remember playing that song and seeing hundreds of people singing a song that I'd written back. And those are the kind of moments as a songwriter, not just a performer, but as a songwriter. Those moments stick out. Like I almost started to cry in the middle of my own song because I look out,
for sure.
wow, there's
Oh, yeah.
400 people singing my lyrics back at me.
Yeah,
That I
that's
scribbled
awesome.
on a napkin.
Yeah, never forget that moment for sure.
Yeah, that's
No
right.
kidding. Yeah, that is awesome. Well, thank you.
But
for
I mean, I've
sharing
had
that.
lots of great Saskatoon stories, and some I would never tell on camera.
It's the internet. You can say whatever you want.
What happens in Saskatoon stays in
I don't know.
Saskatoon? Are we like the new Vegas?
I hope not.
So thank you so much for coming
pleasure.
on the show. It's been. Do you have anything else that you want?
No, it's
ask
awesome
or-
talking with
Yeah,
you, buddy.
it's
It's
been- Is there any questions or anything that we can take a look at to see anybody's comment?
I have to laugh. One of my favorite things to do when I'm doing interviews is try and turn around and start interviewing the interviewer.
Oh, yeah.
And so just kind of seeing that happen, I was like, oh man, I should do that.
well, we're pushovers, really. So
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun.
yeah, it's good fun. So
Well, you just have a lot of love on here, Chris, that I can see people just,
I see some names popping up and a few folks that, boy, it's amazing that a year has gone by since this whole thing kind of started. There, Kevin Knopf, great dude, just a great musician. He came and opened. He drove all the way from Alberta to come down and open a show for me for my CD release party in Regina at the Artesian. That would have been in October of 2019. And he's just a killer voice. And my buddy Jay Allen, we've written a few songs together throughout this pandemic. I'm seeing other names. Kathy Allen with 5,000 Keys. Check out that project.
Yeah.
That's something to, I'm just seeing the names here.
do you have the same band that you've had for a while now, or you just pick up whoever's kind of lurking around?
Yeah. I just usually wander into a back alley and see who's hungry, and then just No, I'm in the band. No, what I've done in the last number of years is I was playing in Alberta so much for a long time, and what I eventually did, because everybody for the most part, most of the people that I was working with had day jobs and that kind of thing, and I was on the road enough that I was kind of needing guys to be more available and gals to be more available than they were. So what I kind of started doing a number of years ago was, I had a band of players that I'd made up in Alberta. So I'd drive or fly into Calgary, and I'd have guys that were local there that had done my show a number of times. And so we'd get together and whether it was a back three at the casino in Fort Mac or Grand Prairie or Calgary or whatever, I'd have an Alberta-based band, and then I had a Saskatchewan kind of based band, and then an Ontario-based band.
You're like
That's
just
a
like
good thing to do.
that's just like Chuck
smart.
Berry.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it just kind of was the way it worked out for me. It was a lot of the guys that I was using in Saskatchewan. It was just they weren't able to, leave on a Wednesday morning and come back on a Monday night if they wanted to keep their day jobs or their marriages or whatever. Back when my dad was on the road full time, you were doing enough shows that maybe you didn't work as a bass player who you could work full time as a bass player where. It's harder to do that these days, and so a lot of people are still working other jobs and you're playing when they can.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, which band was your favorite? Saskatchewan, Alberta, or Ontario?
Can't put him on the spot like that.
Let's see. Is anybody in here watching that would have been?
Never mind. You don't have to answer that question.
There were the way that I will answer that is it depended on the song. There were,
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Depended on the song.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris Henderson, for coming on our show. Thank you.
My
It's
pleasure.
been
All the best.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry we kept you waiting there, man.
Yeah. Sorry we kept you
it's
waiting.
good talking to you.
but yeah.
It's okay. I got to listen in on Jay.
Cool.
All the best.
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
So we're gonna wrap this up here quickly. We just got to do the
Yeah.
send out a birthday wish, I guess, right?
Okay.
We're doing that, or?
Sure. Why not? We can do that.
Sure. So
quick.
Jay mentioned this guy earlier when we were talking.
Oh, the who was born on this day in music? Mozart. And James
Mozart.
mentioned
Yeah.
Mozart earlier.
And another local guy named Daryl Anderson.
Daryl Anderson.
Yeah.
And then
River's Edge, I believe, right?
All right.
And I got to thank Terry Hawkness for that list that he put out today with all the birthdays on it.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Terry.
because now we know it's also February 1st is Dustin Penny and Brooke Cherry Nickel. Happy birthday, you guys.
Yeah, happy birthday.
January's a great month to have a birthday.
So, we're gonna wrap up now. We went really long today, but we had such great guests. We hope that everybody enjoyed the show. We're just gonna tell you, we were gonna give you a little bit of a spot here on what's happening around town, but
Yeah, this spot is reserved. If anybody's got a gig and they want to email us at
at
the Green Room YXE at noyxe.com, we can make certain to announce it in this little slot here that we have.
Yeah, because there's not much, of course.
Try and be
because
as
of
helpful
COVID
as possible to
going on.
the musicians here, but there is a couple of things going on.
Yeah, I guess there's jam nights still. I think at somewhere else.
Tuesdays, is it still going on?
On Tuesdays.
Buds,
And,
All Ages Jam on Saturday and Tuesday with Michael Gamble.
and just please be safe and
Be safe.
wear your masks.
I know that Buds also is doing acoustic acts, I believe, Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday jam as well.
Saturday jam. But yeah, like Johnny said, just as things roll along here, more things will open up eventually, and everything will be awesome. So we just want to thank our sponsor, Milius Terra. And we also just want to say, please subscribe to and follow us on NoYXE on YouTube and Facebook. And we also have t-shirts too at the NoYXE website. So, and YXE has other shows too.
Yeah.
Their channel has other shows, which is really a lot of fun.
Slow TV.
Oh, there's one called Slow TV YXE. That's where it's being premiered on Sunday, the 31st at 10 a.m. That'll be cool. Everything just moves really slow. It's very calming. You could put it on your TV and just chill out. And then there's another show called In Focus YXE. That's a game show, and that's Thursday at 7. And so that'd be a lot of fun. They have photos on there of places around Saskatoon.
Are they like blurry
They're
photos?
kind of blurry, and you kind
gotta
of guess where it is
in Saskatoon.
That's fun.
So
And then YXE Sports Podcast is on Mondays at 6.
right.
So they're a lot of fun to watch and just learn about learn about sports. Well, you could speak more on that. And then so that's it. And also, if you're an artist and you have something coming up, just be sure to email us at, again, the green room at noyxe.com. So it's the green room YXE at noyxe.com.
Right.
So that's it. That's the show.
And
Thanks
we're back.
so much.
We're back next Wednesday with 2 more guests.
And you'll find out who they are on the Facebook pages,
Yeah.
either Honey Tunes or No YXE. So thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. We really had a blast. Thanks, Jay and Chris, for coming on. We just, love talking to them, and we look forward to more people to chat with. And that's it. That was our first show. It's over. Thank you.
That's a wrap.
Thank you.